December the 13th in the year of our Lord 2025. And as usual, I've got some great information for you. Let me just go ahead and click over here, Murtech on Rumble. This is my Rumble channel. This is the video we're watching right now, episode 1775. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it. So let's go ahead and get into this. Let me close out the live chat and slide down here and click the Show More button to expand the description box out. Alrighty, we have information from American Center for Law and Justice, ACLJ, Benny Johnson, Devory Darkins, and Doug in Exile. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout outs here to Ms. Flintstone17, reposted my video from Daily News Wrap Up from last night, and she also replied to my comment when I told her thank you. Also, Debbie BS and Bart Man 1969 reposted my episode 1774 from last night. Fisher C45 and Cotton Ball 31 commented on my Daily News Wrap-Up from last night. Tiff 7799 commented on my episode 1774. Debbie BS commented on my extra 559A. And Debbie BS and Kelly Mott commented on my episode 559B. And Debbie BS commented on my extra 559C. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments and reposting my videos. I greatly appreciate that. I definitely enjoy reading your input and your support. So here we go. Let me give that a thumbs up. Let me jump up here. And I do have commented of the day from Fisher C45. Let's go ahead and check into that. The Democrats and rhinos have TDS Trump derangement syndrome. They hate more than they love. America, get MAGA. And then Cotton Ball 31 also commented on this, saying, time to ship them back. Not welcome here in Minnesota. So I guess Cotton Ball 31 is from Minnesota, and Cotton Ball 31, is not too pleased with Somalis there in Minnesota. So there you have it, right from the horse's mouth. Okay, jumping back here, I've got a little bonus here, a little extra. Excuse me, my nose is itching. From Fox News. I shared this earlier in one of my extras. They've stolen from all of you. This is Hannity, but this is just a short tidbit that I want to share with you as confirmation of the lies that they come up with, the Democrat Party and Deep State Swamp.
Minnesota Governor, good old Tim Walz, has a lot of explaining to do. Instead, a very anxious-looking Tim Walz, he's making one excuse after another. He blamed Donald Trump. Of course, always blame Donald Trump for bringing attention to this important issue. Take a look at this.
I think this idea that the Somali community is to blame for this because they didn't do more, I think that's how we got into this. And that's, again, I know we're not going to lose the whole plot here. All this work that's being done, Donald Trump brought this to the attention like this is something brand new. This is not brand new, and it's been being worked on, but he made it white hot and very dangerous.
Okay, this is real money that is being stolen from taxpayers, and whistleblowers warned the governor. And when asked, he deflected with a bizarre rant about white men. Take a look.
Do you want to hear more from members and leaders from the Somali community to say, we need to look at ourselves, we need to hold our own neighbors accountable, because look at the damage that this has done to our community. What do you want to hear more from, instead of just saying, don't blame us? Do you want to see more ownership and oversight from within?
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed.
Now, Mr. I support feminine products in boys' bathrooms repeated a popular hoax on the left accusing the Trump administration of deporting American citizens and combat veterans. Take a look at this.
They took American citizens. They deported a U.S. combat veteran who served this nation in uniform and deported him to South Korea, a country he has not been in since he was 8 years old.
Here's the problem. None of that is true. The foreign national he was referring to self-deported after being ordered to leave by the Obama administration. His 2010 deportation orders were the result of a multi-year prison sentence over drug charges. Oh, and by the way, jumping bail. But clearly, Tim Walz doesn't care about the truth. He wants to shield himself and his friends in the Somali community from any scrutiny. Big voting bloc in Minnesota, which does beg the question, why? What did Tim do or not do? Why did he not listen to whistleblowers as part of this historic fraud scheme?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause it there. Now, you know, Hannity and Fox News, sometimes they put out a scintilla of the truth, and sometimes I share their information. But a lot of times, they kind of skim over the truth. I don't know what got into Sean to have him share this, but that's it. You know, you hear him talking about, they deported a veteran. They deported a veteran. Well, yeah, actually, because his deportation orders have been in since the Biden administration, and I guess they just now caught up with him, and he's self-deported, okay? So don't listen to their frickin' lies. Whatever they're telling you, there's another side to it. They're not telling you the whole thing. They're not giving you the truth. And speaking of the truth, I want to talk a little bit about climate change. Now, I'm telling you, we're experiencing some climate change here in Indiana. 6 months ago, it was like 85 degrees here in Indiana. And today, it's like 14 degrees and snowing. Just in 6 months. Can you believe that? We're all doomed. Climate change. Whew. Okay, let's jump back here and see what ACLJ, Sekulow, accident, Noem goes off on dim and disturbing hearing. You've probably heard this before and think I might have shared a little bit about this yesterday, but let's take a listen and see what they're talking about here. If this kicks in, we'll be in great show. Okay. Come on.
And now your host, Logan Sekulow.
Welcome, Sekulow. Phone lines are open for you at 1-800-684-3110. We're going to take a second, let everyone start filing in, because this one's kind of a very interesting way you have to look at how these moments, these really tragic moments happen in Washington, D.C., and how politics ends up becoming a big part of it, unfortunately, and how it never can be cut and dry, it never can be treated equally. Of course, we know about this attack where, of course, 2 members of the National Guard from West Virginia were shot. There was a murder. Essentially, they happened, a terrorist attack. Those are a lot of different ways that you could describe this. But that is not how it ended up being described during one of these hearings. And this was just yesterday. And this is from Benny Thompson, a Democrat from Mississippi. Again, this is speaking specifically about that terrorist attack that happened over Thanksgiving weekend. You remember it. Obviously, it resulted in sadly, death of members of our National Guard. Again, a lot of different ways you could describe it. Of course, we describe it as a terrorist attack. You describe it as murder. You describe it as many different ways. But how did it get described sitting there in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill? Take a listen.
Madam Secretary, you and the gentleman from NCTC reference the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
it was a terrorist.
No, wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you.
I'll get it
He
straight.
shot our National Guardsman in the head.
I'll get it straight.
Mr. Chairman, will you direct the witness to allow me to ask my question?
Of course, the main comment there, the first line, and tried to kind of correct it. Still did not do quite a good job at correcting it, calling it an unfortunate accident. Something that was clearly not an accident. It was a premeditated terrorist attack on members of our National Guard. And you got to give it for Kristi Noem for responding very quickly, for listening that closely. In those moments, it can be a little hard in Washington, D.C. You've heard from all these different people. Then you hear finally from someone who says something like this. You have many people who are now double down saying that this is ridiculous. This is precisely the problem that happens in Washington, D.C. when the humanity is taken out of all of this and it becomes an unfortunate accident when we all know and we all saw what it was. Well,
That's right. And honestly, we'll play in the next segment. We're running short on time in this opening segment, but his follow-up, because what it reveals is a lot about the mindset when they go into these hearings. It's not just the fact that he called it an unfortunate accident, what was an act of terror. It's that his entire point he's trying to make, that he's frustrated he can't get through, is he's trying to blame President Trump for what he would consider an unfortunate accident. He's trying to score political points with the base through this line of questioning. So his frustration there about wanting to be able to continue his line of questioning without being interrupted by the witness, who was rightfully outraged by the way he classified it, is because she wasn't letting him get to his point that, wait, this is Trump's fault, let's blame it on Trump, when in reality, everyone should want a safer United States where people who come in through the asylum program aren't committing acts of terror against the United States.
We got a lot to cover today. Of course, Jordan just joined us. We're going to have Rick Rennell joining us a little bit later. And a lot of you are just coming online. I can see it on our YouTube channel. Hey, put in the comments where you're watching from. I like to see, especially on these weekend days, where you decide to watch from. And just let me know. I really would love to hear from you. Also at 1-800-684-3110. We're also going to have some big ACLJ updates. You know about our case that we were ready to go to court for with Gavin Newsom. Well, it just got amped up quite a bit. We're going to discuss that a bit later on as well. You're not going to want to miss it. Again, Rick Rennell's joining us. Jordan's here. Will's here. We're live. It is Friday. We made it, Will. Had to take a day off yesterday. But today I'm back.
Glad to see you.
Phone lines are open for you at 1-800-684-3110. I'm seeing people check in from around the country already. North Carolina, California, Delaware, Oklahoma. That's what it says. Oklahoma and so many other places. Look, we are wrapping this week up. We're going to have a great week next week. I have some special stuff planned during our year-end drive. Be a part of it. Have your donations double. I'm going to tell you all about that a little bit later in the show as well. But do it right now at aclj.org if you can. We'll be right back.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And that's just another example of the lies, the misleading, an unfortunate accident. Really? It was shot in the head. The girl was. And she died. Walked up to her, pulled a pistol out, shot her in the freaking head. That's an accident? It was certainly unfortunate. Let me click on the Rumble link. These Democrats amaze me. I'll get it straight. I'll get it straight. Yeah, right. Okay, why don't you get it straight? And quit lying to the American people. Okay. As you can see here, this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. I'm following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what we have here with Benny Johnson. FBI finally charges BLM leader arrested for fraud, money laundering. Ilhan Ensnared? I don't know. Let's see what Benny Johnson has to say. Let me get the screen up here for you. Alrighty. There we go. Take it away, Benny. Let me get it back here to the beginning for you. Sorry, I need to get it up here. I had that set up for the 50-second mark.
Do and listen to this. Another Black Lives Matter leader running into some trouble with the law. The co-founder of the BLM chapter in Oklahoma City faces 25 federal counts and an alleged $3.1 million money laundering and embezzlement scheme. Tashella Dickerson is accused of diverting grant money meant for a bail fund into her personal account over a 5-year period. Prosecutors say she used the money on shopping sprees, trips to Jamaica and the Dominican Republic, 6 properties, and more than $50,000 in food deliveries. Dickerson reacting to the news saying, a lot of times when people come at you with these types of things, it's evidence that you are doing the work. That is what I'm standing on. The Powerball jackpot soaring to $1 billion. It is the 7th largest prize in the game's history. Wednesday night's numbers were 10, 16, 29, 33, 69, and the red Powerball of 22. Although no one walked away with a jackpot, 3 lucky people won $1 million after matching all 5 white balls. The next drawing is tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And 'tis the season for sports. A new survey revealing 1 in 4 Americans plan their entire Christmas day around watching a big game. As a result, the timing of gift-giving meals and family visits depends on when NFL games kick off or which matchup schedule dominate the NBA schedule. Football is the clear Christmas favorite as more Americans surveyed associate the holiday with the NFL over the NBA. Interesting.
What are you doing? Help! Please!
One of Benny's memes.
Go on inside. Hey, get down from there! Get out off the roof! My car! Hey, what's in that bag?
Good job, Santa. All right, come on. Get out here. Let's go. I'm tired of catching you.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. We are ready to close out this week. God in heaven, help us, the sweet Christmas child. Help us try and do a show that doesn't mention the absolute toxic nuclear sewage meltdown that is the conservative podcast influencer space right now. Please, Lord, help us, give us the power. Please, manger child Jesus, let us be at peace. We're going to try on this show. ALX and I worked for like an hour to try and get a show that didn't center around the absolute drama fit soap opera view, but like on steroids and on our side that is currently melting down right now. We probably won't be successful being able to stay out of it, but whatever. We're going to do our level-headed best because damn it, it's Christmas. And we are thankful to God for another day. And I'm traveling right now with my kids in Washington, D.C. We're thankful for this studio here, and we're going to try and practice gratitude. We're going to do it today on the show, Friday, December 12th, 2025. Light in the darkness, good over evil. Ladies and gentlemen, BLM leader finally charged with massive 7-figure fraud numbers. This embezzlement scheme could potentially be part of a larger RICO case against BLM, taking down the BLM organization, Antifa. This is what we've been calling for. This is what we called for yesterday on the program. Please, for the love of God, investigate these far left-wing terrorist groups and a terrorist group, BLM. Back in action, same time Kyle Rittenhouse is back in action. Did you see that? Kyle Rittenhouse returning. So BLM is returning to headlines and Kyle Rittenhouse is returning. All of life is a flat circle. Charlie Kirk's assassin smirks and chuckles during first in-person court appearance as, again, the podcast wars of 2025 continue their toxic meltdown. We will have a barn burner for you from Matt Walsh and a word of warning as we head into what will finally be a season of evidence presentation in this murder trial. A word of warning from a very, very wise man that we trust a lot on this program, Mike Cernovich. Greg Stubbe joins the show, great congressman from the state of Florida. And Shaney Rich, let's freaking go. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. I got at Klein, we're gonna try our best to start off with joy and happiness. It's the middle of December, dude. We're gonna bring you the Christmas ornaments. Let's freaking go. You know this. We are up against a deadline for the shipping of our Christmas ornaments. We have been doing our Christmas ornament promo. We want to be the number 1 Christmas ornament salesman on earth, and we even have our Charlie Kirk memorial right there.
Okay, let me go ahead and get past this. If the link to this video is in the description box, if you want to click on that and buy his Christmas.
My wife and runs, and that's what's weird. Director. At the end.
Okay, he's going to get into some information here in a little bit. This is an hour and 38
bring this audience
minutes.
along, live kind of this adventure together. That's why we love you so much, and that's why we're doing our level-headed best to deliver this Christmas season. First Liberty Institute is an institute that religious freedom
There we go.
institute.
Like I say, this is an hour and 36 minutes. So he's got some other information in here not pertaining to the news or, the current situation.
That is a counter narrative that takes everybody's eyes off the ball and does not allow us this premier moment, an opportunity to look at what is truly attacking our side. And by our side, I mean freaking me and us. And I don't mean to make it all about me, but like, holy smokes, guys. There's like a ton of people that are currently in federal prison right now for assassination threats against my family. And I know that that is like 10 times for most like other creators, people in the space. There's like a person who gets locked up daily for trying to either assassinate or murder a member of the Trump administration. Just happened 2 days ago. 24 hours ago, Trisha McLaughlin, DHS, they arrested people that are trying to hang her publicly and kill ICE agents, shooting at ICE agents from sniper positions. So much of this stuff, man. So much of this stuff is like deteriorating. And we have this golden opportunity to really focus the attention of the country on the violent left. And that is what we're going to try to do with this program, to muscle through this direction. What I tried to do yesterday was also, with respect to this audience and respect to everything that we cover on this program, which is often federal fraudulence and lies against the truth that manipulate public opinion, that manipulate criminal events, that create criminal events. Your federal government has done this. Your federal government does this. Whether it's Matthew Thomas Crooks, Lee Harvey Oswald, the J6 pipe bomber, it's like obvious that there's a massive trust deficit. And in that vacuum, wild theories can germinate and can really gain traction because our institutions are so damn broken in this country. And that is what creates this environment. And so you can't have an honest conversation without acknowledging that and then demanding that we fix it. And the only way that you can fix it is through transparency. And the only way you can actually fix it is by broadcasting, showing the evidence in demonstrable fashion. And please, for the love of God, having a little courtesy for the widow who's grieving the death of her husband. Why does Erica Kirk look so sad? Well, because of the death of her husband. I mean, frankly, there's humanity that we used to have in this country. And I really am repulsed by the fact that we can't give the courtesy of grief to some people. It's sucked to have to live this out live on a camera. And I would ask that in this Christmas season, as Erica is asking right now, that everyone take like a giant breath and a deep step back and please recognize what everybody's been through for the last 90 days, how utterly insane this has all been and how quickly life is happening. It's been neck snapping. Give people grace, man. Give people the opportunity. Give people a little space.
Okay. I wanted you to hear that because it has been crazy here. These past 11 months, it's unbelievable how quickly things are moving, how much information is coming out, how much propaganda is coming out to try to divert our attention away from what's actually trying to be accomplished. And that's cleaning up the fraud, cleaning up the grift, bringing light to things that are going on and things that people are doing that they've been getting by with for decades, and I mean decades. I've said this many times before, but I'll say it again. Dwight D. Eisenhower, in 1961, his farewell address to the United States, he warned us about the military-industrial complex. He was president, elected in 1952, took office in 53. So he was president in the later half, the last half of the 1950s. He found out about the military-industrial complex, may have known about it when he took office. So this has been going on since the 50s, probably the 40s, when Truman created the CIA. All right, so we've been into this for 80 years. It's going to take a while to clean it up, and there's a hell of a lot of resistance. And it makes you wonder. Now, I don't know of many people that were of the age that could have actually been the leadership of some of these things that are doing, like the deep state, military-industrial complex, the shadow government. You would think a person would have to be in their maybe 30s or 40s back in the 1940s to get all this shit going. But yet, it keeps moving. It keeps going. It keeps going. And it amazes me, who's behind this? What person? I mean, if the person that started it is certainly dead by now. The group of people that started this are certainly dead by now. It's 80 years ago. I hear a lot of people talk about it being satanic. There has to be some other force behind it other than humans, because the ones that started it are dead, and it just keeps going. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Benny Johnson. I just shared a couple of little snippets there. The link to this video is in the description box below. If you want to watch more of it, by all means, just scroll down there and click right onto it. All right, let's jump back here. Okay, I was doing a little chatting there with Big John Perez and Debbie BS, so let me slide back down here and see what Devory Darkins has to say regarding Congress fails to pass health care bill as CNN pulls insane stunt regarding economy. It's probably not insane for CNN, but a normal person would think it's insane. Let's see what it's all about. If this will take off, we'll be in great shape.
Scribe, let's start here.
A lot of finger pointing on Capitol Hill after the Senate failed to pass not one but two different bills aimed at addressing the looming healthcare crisis. Today, the Senate rejected both a Republican and a Democratic plan. So come January 1st, enhanced Obamacare subsidies will have expired. That is, unless Congress acts in the next few weeks. Keep in mind, without a deal, millions of Americans will see their premiums spike. That could potentially cause another 2 million more Americans to go uninsured. That is, according to a nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office examination. CNN's Manu Raju is live for us on Capitol Hill. Manu.
Okay, he's talking about 2 million people becoming uninsured. Okay, with 350 million people here in the United States. If 2 million people, who knows how many of those are children, how many of those are old? I mean, who knows with the numbers that CNN gives. 2 million, it makes you think that that's just a horrible thing. 2 million, that is less than 0.8% of our population. So we're getting all frantic here and going to pull some kind of crap out of our butts for less than 0.8%, less than 1% of our population. Of course, isn't that the way that the liberals run? The tail always wagging the dog? I don't know. I just had to throw that in there, folks.
Do you see lawmakers finding any kind of compromise before they head out for the holiday recess?
The short answer is no, Boris. In fact, these two sides are very much on the complete opposite sides on how to deal with this issue. There are members on the middle of the Republican conference in particular who are raising major concerns. Those are the ones who represent swing districts and who are very much worried about the political blowback that they may endure come the midterm elections next year. And they are putting pressure on their leadership to act. Remember, the Republican leaders in the Senate and in the House furiously oppose the Affordable Care Act. They want different changes to the health care law, and they certainly oppose these Obamacare subsidies that were enhanced during the COVID era that are set to expire at year's end.
All right, here's what you guys need to know about what's happening here. We knew this ACA subsidies fight was going to be a tough one. It's a huge one. Is it likely they're going to get something done by the end of this year? Well, I would say the chances are continuing to become slimmer by the day. We'll see, of course, but if we take recent behavior, the answer would be no. And the people who are going to be impacted the most, just so we're all on the same page here, is low-income Americans, not people who are working in a career where their employer is sponsoring their health care. No, low-income Americans. Those are the people who will be impacted by the increase of premiums. The bottom line is this, guys. The Democrat solution does not work. Time has already proven that. Republicans, on the other hand, they have not offered anything that when you look at it as a replacement, that doesn't make sense either. Okay? So that's why it's going to be hard to get something done because they're so far apart here. Let's continue.
One Republican who is retiring, who does represent a swing district, Don Bacon of Nebraska. And I asked him about the concerns he has as he is pushing for a short-term extension of those subsidies amid opposition from his leadership.
And all these folks are going to go back home, and you're going to have to look voters in the eye and say we've done nothing while their premiums are going up like $2,000 a month. It's not going to happen. The reality is going to hit here. To me, it's just basic reality. We need a short-term extension. And then let's talk about some deeper reforms.
The speaker seems dead set against this, though.
Because what he's hearing from a lot of folks, hey, we didn't vote for ACA, we didn't vote for the IRA, this is a Democrat problem, but we're in charge.
Yeah.
All right, time out. Now, folks, I probably mentioned this to you before, but I'm 72 years old, okay? I'm on Medicare. I do have supplemental insurance, okay? My supplemental insurance is not going up. Although, thank the good Lord, I'm in pretty good health. I'm not on a bunch of prescriptions. I see the doctor once a year when I go in for my annual physical. Normally, unless something weird happens, like I get a pulled muscle or something like that. But I am in the group that is charged the most, generally, for their insurance because I'm high risk because of my age. My insurance premiums are not going up. Okay? It's as simple as that. The insurance companies knew back in October, November, when it was time to renew my insurance for next year, that there probably wouldn't be, the subsidies were expiring. And there was no guarantee that there would be continued subsidies for health care. My premiums are not going up. So where are they getting this intercoursing number that premiums are going to go up $2,000? Maybe some people it will. I don't know. But it ain't happening for me or my wife. Just FYI.
How bad do you think this will be for Republicans if you do not extend these subsidies?
I think it will be used like a sledgehammer on us a year from now. The reality will be bad.
And the speaker himself just told a group of us that he does plan to offer his own healthcare plan as soon as next week. But Boris, there is no real sense that has any chance of passing, particularly the United States Senate, where it would need 60 votes to pass. Democrats are almost certainly going to vote against it, even as the speaker himself faces pressure from those moderate members to put a short-term extension on the floor of the House.
Okay, so what should Congress do exactly? What should they do? Well, number one, they should extend the subsidies for only 12 months and no more than that. Number two, they should make sure that they do expand HSA, also known as health savings accounts, and the eligibility required. Okay. They should make it easy for people to qualify for that at the same time. This is the 12-month plan. Three, they should require insurers to justify if they want to increase premiums over the next 12 months for whatever reason. They have to show why it is logical to do so. And obviously, four would be to cap the income, because obviously subsidies is for low-income individuals. They need to make sure that they cap that, and they're very anal about it. And the most important one of it all, ladies and gentlemen, this is more a procedural thing, more of a common sense thing. Make sure it's a clean bill, okay? Don't throw in immigration. Don't throw in law enforcement. Don't throw in your little funding to your NGOs. Make sure this bill is 110% ACA subsidies. That's it. Now, let's go to what Caroline Leavitt had to say earlier during her White House press briefing regarding this. Take a look.
That the Obamacare subsidies will expire at the end of the year. It means more than 20 million Americans are now bracing for their health care costs to soar. Is the president prepared to let this happen, or is he going to step in?
The president is prepared to take action on health care, and he wants Republicans on the Hill to do the same. As you have seen, Senate Republicans put forth their own legislation earlier this week. As for the subsidies that are set to expire, I would like to remind you and everybody at home why this is on the brink of happening. Democrats wrote Obamacare. They passed it without a single Republican vote, and then they ballooned it with these expensive COVID subsidies that completely distorted the health insurance market. And then they doubled down, extending those subsidies and setting their own expiration date right now in 2025, which the administration is obviously well aware of. And we are working, the president is working with his healthcare policy team here at the White House, as well as Republicans on Capitol Hill, to find a solution.
Now, if I was a Democrat, I'd be screaming at my own party probably more than I scream at the president, because we know how Democrats feel about the president, okay? No question. I just find it interesting that they spend more time protesting him instead of protesting the leaders of their own party, which has clearly led them down the wrong road here. They are the ones who created Obamacare. They are the ones who came up with ACA subsidies, and they are the ones who decided on when those subsidies would expire. And now we're here. So they've known for a long time we were going to get to this point, and they've done nothing about it. And now why that? Well, why is that? I think that's a better question. Well, maybe because they're too obsessed with the president, because every time we see them in front of a camera, they have to mention his name. So, you know, if I was a Democrat out there, Republicans are the least of my problems right now. It's my own party who can't even get simple things done. Now, what's interesting is if you're a Republican, you probably have the same critique for the Republican Party. So I guess Congress in the end, like I've been saying, the 119th Congress is definitely up there when it comes to the most incompetent of them all. Now, here is Caroline Leavitt continuing to make the case for the White House and what they say they might do if things don't go in the right direction. Take a look.
You said he's working to find a solution. He wants to see a solution to lower healthcare costs. He does. But these subsidies are expiring at the end of the year. So what is the plan, and what is he going to do to put this in place in the next 2-3 weeks?
You'll hear more from the president and from the White House on that very soon. As for wanting a solution to lower healthcare costs, I'm glad you said it, because the president is doing just that. He has made unprecedented progress towards lowering healthcare costs in this country and drug prices. He's secured numerous most favored nation drug price deals, with many more to come. As you know, the One Big Beautiful Bill, the working family tax cut, significantly expanded access to health savings accounts for those on Obamacare. Again, a Democrat written program and approved program, which has led to higher healthcare costs in this country.
You got to ignore the noise and the drama and focus on your future. Because if you don't do it, nobody's going to do it. When I say future, I'm talking about your hard-earned money. Did you know? We'll know for you. So gold America expensive today. How much has it increased? Can you recall what your premiums were before Obamacare came onto the scene? Please share your experience in the comments section below, because I don't think the people in Congress are getting the message here. They've kicked this can down the road. They fed, obviously, these lies to the American people about what Obamacare could be, should be, what's supposed to be. Obviously, none of that became a reality. In fact, the people who won in the end are the actual companies, the hospitals, the insurance companies, not the American people. We're sicker than we've ever been, and we're paying for our healthcare at a higher rate than we ever have. So I think the results show that Congress has failed us every step of the way. So having said that, let's listen to Chuck Schumer and his excuses.
Unfortunately, our Republican colleagues refused to do what they should have done. I want everyone here to understand just what happened on the Senate floor. Senate Republicans just shoved the American people off the side of a cliff with no parachute and with an anchor tied to their feet. Republicans just blocked the Democrats' bill for a clean, simple extension of the ACA tax credits. The last chance they had to ensure people's premiums do not skyrocket in the coming months. Democrats did the work, but now Republicans chose the consequences. Now Republicans have all but guaranteed that tens of millions of people will see their premiums double or triple or more next year. Republicans now own America's healthcare crisis.
All right. So at this point, it's easy to say it's Democrats' fault, it's Republicans' fault, it's Congress' fault. And I think I've said some of these things, but you know what? It's kind of being a little lazy. The real issue here are the insurance companies and the hospitals that have consolidated and essentially have become monopolies. And if Congress doesn't deal with that, it kind of doesn't matter what they do in a sense.
Yeah.
They have to deal with the actual mechanism that is causing healthcare to become unaffordable. Now, Obamacare, if it accomplished anything, it clearly made coverage much more accessible. But what it has not done has made coverage affordable. Okay, that's the interesting thing about it. That's the loophole in a sense. Okay, or that.
Okay, and he's right there. He's right. You know, since its inception, I have seen all kinds of stories reported about how their premiums have just skyrocketed. And that's with these incentives that the government is passing on. Unbelievable. So I don't know what the solution is, but I'll guarantee you that Donald Trump will come up with something. And the Democrats will bitch about it. But I believe it will probably work because, I don't know, he has a magic touch or something. I don't get it. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Devory Darkins. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what we got with Doug in Exile. And let me get your screen back again. There we go. Okay, Doug in Exile. Trump patriots have had enough of Venezuela. Okay, let's check this out.
Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the Happy Patriots are. Part of it is because you can trust Trump.
What happens next in Venezuela?
It's so brilliant. Okay, so what Trump is doing is seizing the tankers. And there's plenty of international precedent for seizing sanctioned boats. Yeah. So we've had the sanctions. Nobody's enforced them. Trump's enforcing them. If you look at the numbers, Venezuela makes maybe $200 million a week on selling oil that it's not allowed to sell. It also has expenses of about $200 million a week that pay for the military and everything else and everything else. It only has a reserve fund of about $1 billion. So if Trump takes away that $200 million a week, Venezuela pretty soon runs out of money. I mean, really soon runs out of money. And that's the money that Maduro uses to pay the military, to pay off all the bad guys, to keep himself in power. So that's why when Trump says, oh, I think Maduro's days are numbered, I think he's counting off the days until Maduro runs out of money.
There you go. Was that hard, guys? Was that difficult for any Democrats to understand, or Rand Paul or Thomas Massie, or the people coming out saying we don't do these acts of war without Congress's permission? It's statecraft. It's the way Trump always did business. He's a businessman. and he saw a business opportunity and he jumped it. He's going to drain all the money out of Venezuela, which is a socialist hellhole. And because they're a socialist hellhole, they're eating dogs. They can't pay bills without crime, without illegally selling oil to Iran to enrich it and then sell it to China. They can't make their money without illegal fentanyl drug shipping, and Trump's drying it up. He's going to financially bankrupt them. Maduro will have to step down, who was not a legit elected representative. They're elected representatives down. Now, a lot of libertarians and isolations will go, we just shouldn't be even thinking about other countries. Trump is dominating the Western Hemisphere. That's the Monroe Doctrine that everyone talks about from the early 19th century, that part of making America healthy is by broadening our footprint to protect us from being attacked. And if foreign entities come in and affect our elections, let's say, they do it. The Monroe Doctrine says you have a right to protect your hemisphere, not just your borders. Your brain is too small if you just think there's a magic wall around the USA and no tech can get in, no drones, no balloons, Chinese balloons can fly overhead, no AI can infiltrate all of our computers through TikTok and AI spam bots and collect data and send it back to China. If you think that there's just this invisible wall around us, you be wrong. And Trump is fighting a war without officially fighting a war, and it's brilliant.
Can't stay. I mean, if Maduro is still in power, say 6 months down the road, that's a defeat for the United States.
Completely.
A defeat for Trump. Can't have that.
No, and I think what Trump's trying to do is not just with Maduro, but his entire South American policy. And the new national security strategy he just issued. He envisions a Western Hemisphere that's U.S.-led, that is at peace, that invests in each other, that trades with each other, and is a shining symbol to the world of how democracy and American leadership work.
Colombia, next country?
Well, Colombia's a little different because Colombia is the drug trade. So what Trump is also doing, and what he's doing with Venezuela when he's shooting those drug boats out of the water, is he's also going after their cartels and he's stopping the drug trade. We have ignored South America for 20 years. Both parties have. And what's happened? The Chinese have come in, the communists have come in, and the cartels have come in. And I think Trump is looking at all of those and saying, I'm going to remake the Western Hemisphere.
He's draining the money from China, guys, because we ignored the isolationists. You said in both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats have ignored Colombia, the Colombian drug trade. And then what happens? So you go off and do isolationist land. I don't touch another country. I don't want our troops in other countries. I don't want to spend money in other countries, whatever. And we remove our influence in the entire Western Hemisphere. What happens? Russia, China come in, and they'll do business all day with them. And suddenly they have the influence of Colombia. They're still laundering drugs through Colombia and Mexico, and they still send them to us, and we still pay for them. The money goes to China, a communist, our number one enemy, the true communist regime. So I'm not a full-on neocon, but I lean more that way than isolationist. So that's my bias. Now you guys know my bias. You can let me know in the chat below where you're at, but wait, there's more. Here's Trump's former economic advisor, Stephen Moore, just on with Cornel West, who I think is a cartoon character, literally a cartoon character. He's one of my favorite liberals to watch because he's just fantastically corrupt. Here's Stephen Moore, who's a financial brilliant man.
Here's my concern, and I think this is something that you mentioned. Virtually every state is gerrymandering. And Republicans can't unilaterally disarm here. In other words,
he mumbled a little bit there. Nearly every state is gerrymandered. So gerrymandering is taking place.
Got a kind of an arms race on who can gerrymander their state the most to win.
He said earlier, you cannot unilaterally disarm. That is, if the Democrats are going to gerrymander, you can't not gerrymander on principle. We're going to go into this a lot in this episode, guys. What are your principles good for if they don't work? This is about purity of your ideas and your philosophy versus them not working because the other side is cheating. Like in the Westerns, where if you shot a man in the back, you were a coward. That was just a principle. If you're surrounded by 800 Germans or terrorists and their back is facing you, do you not take the shot? So you go against your principle to get a win. And that's why pragmatism is always at war with our highest principles. So guys like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, they're claiming a principle, and they go, Trump is about disregarding these principles to get a win, and we're going to stick to our principles. And then we lose. And then, so you can be principled all you want, but if you're principled, it's like I'm a pure pro-lifer. I'm going to give you another example. I'm sorry for going on so long on this, but I have to break out this point so you understand. I'm a one-issue voter on pro-life. It's like, to me, unborn, if you don't save them, you don't even have a country. You don't have a constitution. I don't want to hear about any of your philosophy, anything else, because you're killing innocent unborn people that have a right to exist. That's my number one principle. Trump comes out and goes, hey, we can't do this 4-week heartbeat bill that DeSantis wants because we're going to lose. We have to abandon that. That's not reasonable. I'm going to get something that both sides want, is what he said. Well, why did I still vote for Trump when he threw the unborn under the bus? Well, because the unborn have never had better laws and Supreme Court judges under Trump. Because if Trump loses, if my guy, who's barely pro-life, loses, and then my guy suddenly becomes Kamala Harris, how much worse will it be for the unborn and for my single issue? Do you see how that's a pragmatic compromise where you start going, yeah, I'll take a little piece of the pie over no pie at all? That's all Stephen Moore is saying. It's not that we're for gerrymandering. It's that the Democrats are so for it that if you don't also gerrymander, you'll lose your representation in 1/3 of our government.
Most seats, given the fact that there's only, a 3 or 4, what's the Republican majority in the House, like 3 or 4 right now? Every seat matters, and that's why you've got this thing going on.
But don't you acknowledge that in this moment, right, as we sit here now, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all had Trump and his party said, we need to protect ourselves from losses in the 2026 midterm elections, and to do so, we're going to create some new Republican seats. Redistricting happened 5 years ago.
They've already done that in California.
Hold on, but
redistricting
happened 5 years ago. New York tried to gerrymander the state, and they were overruled in the courts. So there is a process that all these states went through. Republicans are short-circuiting that process. I mean, don't you acknowledge that is different from the broader issue of whether or not gerrymandering is good or bad, which I think we all agree is bad?
Except that if you look at the big blue states, their gerrymandering has been pretty outrageous. If you look at California,
what about the big red states?
Yeah, you didn't say anything about Tennessee, but not to the extent. I mean, California, as you said, that 42% of the people in California are Republicans, and there's virtually hardly any Republican seats out of their 50 or so. So it's and incidentally on the racial issue, I mean, the racial gerrymandering was started by Democrats who wanted to have all black districts and all Hispanic districts. And that was, I thought that was a terrible idea. And by the way, that hurt Democrats because they put all the Democratic voters in one district. So
yeah, Cornel West, I love him. Now, this is going to get into that whole pragmatism thing, guys. This one's huge. Trump just passed an AI thing.
Mr. President, as you said, in keeping with your commitment to grow the American economy, create potentially millions of new American jobs, and maintain America's technological and military superiority in the years ahead, this is an executive order that orders aspects of your administration to take decisive action to ensure that AI can operate within a single national framework in this.
Okay, here goes. AI. You guys know I have opinions on this. I know AI well. I write my music with AI. I've done art with AI. I've written books with AI. AI is fun. It's a great tool. There on his left is Ted Cruz, Litnick, and Sachs is my favorite guy in the world there on the right. Crypto billionaire, good friend of Elon Musk, and he's the one with Trump's ear who wrote this executive order for Trump. And remember in the Big Beautiful Bill, when we were siding with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said, I will not allow this in the Big Beautiful Bill. So Trump just did an executive order of the same thing that ignores states' rights to be able to file lawsuits about AI. And Trump just signed an executive order to create a government protectionism on AI where certain lawsuits can't be launched against it at the state level. So he just removed state rights. I mean, he's allowed to do it. It's an executive order. It's temporary. The next guy that comes in can reverse it or whatever. In fact, the next guy that comes in under this law, I would not be okay with this law under Democrats. I'm okay with it under Trump, because I trust him. That's a terrible pragmatic argument, guys. To say, I'm okay with the terrible structure of this legislation. That's true for all of the executive orders, by the way. I'm only comfortable with executive orders because Trump's the executive doing it. I'm against all of Biden's executive orders. So I'm technically against the power of the executive order. So now you know the lay of the land. Okay, that's the argument. I'm big tech. I love AI. But here's the problem with AI. Right now, you have hundreds of lawsuits launched against AI, and they're all from blue states. What does that tell you? They're all Democrat lawsuits, especially from New York and Los Angeles. And they're trying to control it, let's say, to make sure that it is represented equally with minorities in all the workers, might be one lawsuit. Another one might be that it allows too much profitability. Another one, it might be defending rights and all of that. But whatever it is, it's trying to control AI with a Democrat state. That's why I'm against the states' rights, because the states' rights include lunatic states like California, New York, Indiana. I'm not for. It's like saying, Doug, are you for the Constitution being written? Yeah, I'm for the Constitution being written. And if someone says, Doug, are you for the Constitution being written by just San Francisco, Austin, and Manhattan? I'd go, no, I'm not for the Constitution being written by lefty socialist lunatics. That's all Trump's addressing here. So I give him a pass on this executive order that removes states' rights. I'm telling you, this overturns states' rights.
This country, as opposed to being subject to state level regulation that could potentially cripple the industry. David Sachs, your AI and crypto czar, has been one of the key players and key authors behind this EO. He can give you more of the granular detail, but the big picture is that we're taking steps to ensure that AI operates under a single national standard so that we can reap the benefits that will come from it in terms of economic growth, job development, national security, and technological edge.
And it's really the biggest industry that anybody's seen. I mean, it's taking off. And again, I believe there'll only be one country that really benefits, and it should be the United States. And it will be if we do this, if we're unified. We have to be unified. China is unified because they have one vote. That's President Xi. He says do it, and that's the end of that. We have a different system, but we have a system that's good, but we only have a system that's good if it's smart. David Sachs, can you say a few words?
And by the way, to the constitutionalists out there who are against this and saying we're aping China's system by having one executive dominate everything, the executive order is part of our system. So he can literally write any executive order he wants. So if you're against this system of one man overriding states' rights, which is what Biden did on all his executive orders and Trump does on all of his, then work within your system and remove the ability for the president to have an executive order. Make only Congress make laws, which is how it was designed by the founders.
Yes, sir. So as you pointed out, we have over 1,000 bills going through state legislatures right now to regulate AI. Over 100 of them have already passed. 25% of them are in California, New York, and Illinois.
Holy smokes. California, New York, and Illinois. That's all you need to know. I'm against it. I'm against whatever they're for. And therefore, throwing lawsuits and bills up against AI. So this is the government removing the state's ability to do that. And I'm only for it because those states happen to be Democrat.
50 states running in 50 different directions. It just doesn't make sense. We're creating a confusing patchwork of regulation. And what we need is a single federal standard. And that's what the CEO says, sir, is it basically states that the policy of your administration is to create that framework. We're going to work with Congress. Like the chairman here of the Commerce Committee, Senator Cruz, and other members of Congress to define that framework. In the meantime, this EO gives your administration tools to push back on the most onerous and excessive state regulations. We're not going to push back on all of them. For example, kid safety, we're going to protect. We're not pushing back on that, but we're going to push back on the most onerous examples of state regulations, sir.
So this is
There we go. Sounds reasonable to me. I don't know, because it'll go nowhere. If you got states like California dictating what the rest of us, or New York or Illinois, dictating what the rest of us have to live with. This video, by the way, does come from Doug in Exile. I am subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. I want to give you a quick message here about Blue Chew. Some pretty good stuff from what I understand.
Blue Chew chewable tablets are made with active ingredients found in popular ED medications, but in chewable form and at a much more affordable price.
No waiting rooms. No pharmacy lines. Just a quick online visit, and once approved by a licensed medical provider, Blue Chew sends the chews straight to your door.
Look guys, Blue Chew is the upgrade button for your sex life.
level up, and get your first month free at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our Rumble listeners.
Try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use promo code RUMBLE. Just pay $5 shipping. That's promo code RUMBLE.
All plans include an online health assessment, prescription medication if appropriate, monthly refills, and ongoing medical support.
A prescription will only be written if deemed medically appropriate after an online health assessment with a licensed provider. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information.
Okay, here we are back, and I just copied the chat, the live chat, into a comment, so it'll be permanent with this video. MASH24, thank you very much for joining in, and everyone else, great comments here in the chat, so I'm just going to go ahead and make this permanent. Boom, there it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, and let me remind you folks that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producers. I'm just trying to put together bits of information here that will give you an idea of actually what's going on, so you don't have to rely on the lying legacy media and deep state swamp for your information. These are reputable sources, trusted sources, information that you're not going to hear on the mainstream media. I've got the links to the videos as well as the links to the producer's channel. And these videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted on Mertech.com, where I have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. Here's the video from Doug in Exile that I shared with you. Here's a video from Devory Darkins that I shared with you. Here's the video from American Center for Law and Justice that I shared with you. The link to Mertech.com, as I said, is in the description box. It's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't drop cookies on your computers or have ads popping up in your face. It's your one-stop shop for information you're not going to get from the mainstream media. Now, I'd like to share all this information with you, but unfortunately I just don't have the time, and that's why I've put together my daily news wrap-up. And here's the playlist that I've started for my daily news wrap-up that'll take off here about 9:30. Got information from Icons 2020, Black Conservative Perspective, Anthony Bryan Logan, Benny Johnston, DML, The High Wire with Dale Bigtree, and We Know, Awaken with JP. A lot of great information in here. I've got 15 videos in here, probably about 8 hours worth of information. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, and meet me back here at 9:30 and we'll get this going. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for spending your time with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.